Hey guys, welcome back to Podcast Counselor U, presented by New Mexico University Counseling Department and sponsored by New Mexico Expanding Opportunity Projects. We are your hosts. I'm Katrina Weir. This is Taylor Cole, and Nikki McDonald Horn. Welcome, guys. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Excited to be back.
All right, let's get into today's discussion. So today's discussion, we're going to discuss a day in the life of a counseling graduate student. And I am really excited about this one because we are in this, we are living this at the moment. So I feel like this is something that we could definitely help so many other graduate counseling students or even freshmen. People are now joining the counseling program. So I'm really excited about this one. All right. So the first question I have, and I'm gonna start off with you guys, and you guys could just take the floor, Nikki and Taylor, and then I will jump on as well. Okay. All right, so the first one, share behind the scenes what a typical day looks like for you, especially when you're tackling an assignment.
I'll go first. So typically, I work full time, so I don't work any time during the day. So from 7 till about 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, I'm not working. But once I eat and put the kids to bed and do some of my fatherly duties, that's my grad school time. So from about 7 o'clock to about 11 o'clock at night or so, give or take an hour or 30 minutes here. That's my time, and so I I really like to work ahead. Um, some professors will give you a week's worth of work and say basically here it is. This is what you have to get done, and so I'll take that and I'll work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Um, I usually try and have my discussions done by Wednesday because that's when they're normally due. But even I usually knock out the discussion on Monday and any reading I have to do. So if I have a chapter that I need to read for that particular week, that's when I do all my readings on Mondays, and then take notes, of course, and then have things to look back on throughout the week. But my take on it is get done early in the week so I can have my weekends with friends and family and things like that. But when I'm tackling a bigger assignment, I usually like to give myself about 2 weeks to get some of those done, like some of the bigger papers, um, and maybe some of the like next week I have an actual intake that I have to do and write up an entire intake, and so I'll give myself this week and next week to work on that, just so I have enough time to finish it because I sometimes I can procrastinate, and I really try not to do that, especially being in grad school, trying to stay responsible and on top of things. So that's my take on it, and I think um, getting ahead in classes is super helpful. At least it's helped me in grad school a lot. So good question.
Awesome. Nikki, thank you for
Yeah. Um, so I have a little bit of a different situation, being severely disabled and requiring a lot of help. Um, I take things very slow, and I have throughout this whole program. That's one of the best things about this program is that um, they really worked with me on um, adapting to my strengths and weaknesses. And so there's so a typical day is not for me is not going to look like most other people, but if anybody who is pretty severely disabled or has chronic pain um is interested in this program, it might help you to know that you can do things a little differently.
Mhm.
um I don't work full time. I have a kind of a very, very relaxed graduate assistant position. And then I'm doing this, the podcast. But other than that, I don't work. And um, I also take only two, at most three classes a semester, so that I can really focus on spending as much time as I need to study and research. I do a lot of kind of um, indirect research for myself. I go through and, if I have a question about something, I look things up and I watch case studies and things like that. I look up information. Um, and I talk to people in the program, you know. I'm trying to be very holistic in how I grow um in this program, and it's basically my full-time focus. But most of my day is take care of myself and take care of my relationship with my husband. Um and also equally take care of my studies and do things in a slow pace. And that really, I mean, I've had all A's so far. We have a strong relationship and I feel pretty healthy. So it all kind of works out. You just do things at your own pace,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that was what something that I was going to lean on as well, because um I found for me when I did like my first master's, I had many of my classes face to face, and face to face classes I felt kept me accountable. And when after I graduated and then I came back to school to do my second master's, I was not accustomed to online, having all online classes. So it was definitely challenging for me to I mean, to just keep a schedule, a rhythm of a schedule. I feel like Taylor explained, like when he has like a big assignment, he tried to get things done, either a week or 2 weeks done prior. Now for me, even if I try to do it a week or 2 weeks before, I think of the assignment, I read of the assignment, I try to research the assignment. It is very, I work better under, if I submit it, obviously of the day, not of the day of the time, but the day before or the previous day. Like I work better that way than if I do it 2 weeks or a week ahead, because I can procrastinate a little bit, and which we are not advising you guys to do. But I love what Nikki said, what I had to learn in in the second semester, because my first semester, I did get all A's as well, but my first semester, just finding that rhythm and finding a rhythm in scheduling and stuff was different for me. So I definitely, this semester, as Nikki said, for me, I kind of reel back a little bit in doing things a little bit more at my pace, at a pace where I'm not stressing, I'm not worried, or I'm not panicking on my assignments, obviously, but trying to be more graceful to myself to get things done, but to get it done and to get it done, but to get it done in, obviously, before your assignments are due, and just to do a good job in each assignment. So I love that each one of us has a different way of tackling, or the way we handle our assignments and moving forward in grad school. And grad school, let me say this, and you guys could tell me if you guys agree, grad school is definitely so much different than when you're doing your bachelor's also. So I think that you do have that pace, or that way that you can work at your own pace if you do have that type of schedule that does allow you to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I wanted to just kind of mention, just
Mhm.
in hearing both of y'all, I will say this: if you are working full time and
Yes.
or have kids and a family,
Mhm.
I this is just my experience. I don't suggest taking any more than 2 classes.
Yes.
I think anything beyond 6 hours is a very heavy load. I the first, let's see, I'm 36 hours in now. The first 30 hours, I took 2 hours, or excuse me, 2 classes per semester, and I was able to manage it. But I've taken on a few more things this semester, so I'm only taking 1 class. And the thing about this program is you do get to work at your own pace, which is really, really nice. So just keep those things in mind, especially, like I said, if you have a family and self-care is important to you, which it should be, just consider those things, because if you take on too much, then you're going to struggle through parts of the program. So
Yeah, I love that, Taylor. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. The next question we're going to jump into: tell us a specific story of graduate school you will always cherish. And Nikki, I would like you to go first on this one because you're about to graduate as well. And so I think that you're about to be finished and you're about to be done. What is a moment that so far and being able to be finished, what is a story or something that you remember from graduate school that you will cherish after graduating?
I have a couple because
Okay.
it's been this whole thing, this whole experience, has been one blessing after another for me. Dr. Moffat has had and our advisor and my professor for a lot of things, and also my supervisor for my internship and practicum. He's been really instrumental in bringing me hope that I can be a successful counselor, because that's been a question in my mind, if as to whether I'm going to be of any help to someone. But he just really believes in you. He believes in me, and he makes it very clear, vocalizes his encouragement, and it's without a doubt, and that really helps. I don't know how much I can say about this, but something happened when I was taking on new clients, and I took on a client who was actually a superior to me in my previous, or I tried to take on a client. I realized when I met with her that she was a superior to me in my previous grad program that I failed to complete. And obviously it didn't work out. I couldn't work with her. I had to transfer to someone else. But the just knowing that I am not a failure, that I just needed to find the right place, that knowing in my heart that I could have helped her if I hadn't known her, I guess it just made me feel better about myself. And that was a sweet moment for me. Really gratifying.
yeah, it kind of brought it all full circle for you, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, Nikki. Thank you for sharing.
Not really sure how I'm supposed to follow that up, but
Yeah, no, I guess I should have leave Nikki for last.
thanks, Nikki. Um,
Sorry.
no, you're good. That was awesome. I'm really glad that you're in this program too, and it's been a joy to get to know you. I would have to say, and this is kind of jokingly, kind of not. I don't think I'll miss having to write responses to my classmates because I feel like at this point in time I've maybe written 500.
Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
So no, but in all seriousness, getting to meet Dr. Moffat physically the first time, and just being around him as a person, that was probably one of the highlights of me being halfway through this program. He's one of the kindest, like most endearing people I've been around, and so he's been instrumental for me as well. Just getting into the program, talking with him early on, and then finally getting to meet him in person was probably one of the highlights. And so, yeah, that's I don't know outside of what I've learned. I mean, I just feel like I've been a giant sponge in all this, and just really trying to soak up everything that's coming my way. It's funny because like my oldest sister, she just recently went through a divorce this past year, and so I felt like I've been able to use some of the things that I've learned in helping her cope and get through the nastiness that is this divorce. And so I guess just kind of putting some of these things into practice and really learning how to truly be empathetic has been really, really a cool experience for me. So
Yeah. Wow. And mine's I feel like mine's was the opposite in terms of when I came into to joining the counseling program, just because I didn't see myself going into the counseling program. I thought that I had it all figured out in terms of my career, where I wanted to go in my career and everything. So for me, counseling, the program wasn't I would say, it wasn't like I was like, this is what I want to do. But I would definitely say that two people were instrumental in this process. One, when God opened up the door for me to be able to get back into graduate school. But I remember a year into graduate school when I was doing my first master's, and Dr. Berkeley, who is now she was over in the communication department. Now she's over in the counseling department. And I probably shared this story before. I felt like, but I just remember having like this class with her, and at that point I was so I'm a perfectionist to the core. So anything that is beyond an A, or anything that's less than an A, it upsets me. But I just remember I had one time I had a conversation with her, being my professor, and I mean, I feel like I had a counseling session in that moment. And for me to be able to be like, 2 years after that happened, to be to be in the counseling program, no, for me, it just shows you, and it reflects on me, like how much impact counselors will have on our clients, whether we feel like right now. And I feel like, Nikki, and you could tell me, being a former athlete and being a person that people said so many no's to, or I'm not good enough, or I can't do it. I feel like when you're not asking yourself those questions, like, can I do this? Am I good enough? Like, God has used so much incredible persons like a Dr. Moffat, or a Dr. Berkeley, or so much amazing people to come around us, and rally around us to help us get to be where we are supposed to be, later on. So I really think that when those questions comes up, and if you're a freshman or you're like Nikki about to graduate, I think those doubts or those questions are good to have, because when you overcome them and you reach that point, like Nikki, you're about to graduate and you're about to be a counselor. I mean, like, how beautiful is that you overcome the thoughts of I couldn't, I can't, to I did. And so it's so beautiful to just see what this program does in terms that you able to work at your own pace. You have incredible people around you, that professors, and each one to able to help you be a successful counselor, to be successful in your career. But people that you could also look back on and be like, man, like they were just a huge part in my success, in me finishing, and me and believing is the key word, that I can do it. And that is one of the things I so love about the program, and I'm so excited about my career change, is that I get to tell people that the ones that people told cannot do it or will never do it or it's hard for them to do it, I get to tell them, yes, you can do it, like a Dr. Moffat or Dr. Berkeley or a good family member, whoever may be in your circle that was able to help you and push you and remind you that yes, you can do it. So good stuff. And Dr. Moffat is, for everyone who do not know who Dr. Moffat is the assistant professor of counseling, and he's also the graduate coordinator. So if you guys are interested, look up ANMU website on counseling also, and Dr. Moffat is so cool as well, right?
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, let's move on to our next question. How do you handle academic pressure? Is it hard for you to handle academic pressure?
I can start. I think
Okay.
personally, when it comes to academic pressure, just remember that you're in control. And I I take it, it is my academics are mine, and I look at what I've got to do, and I organize it because I have the power to do that, and I start on it at my own pace, and I choose deliberately what to do and what to take a break on, what's good enough to show, what I'm talking about, or what my answer is for a question, and um then let it go. Once you've turned it in, let it go. It's no longer in your hands. It's like letting a baby bird fly. It's, you just got to let it go. You can't force its wings, you know. It's gone. And that's kind of how I treat my academics. I take very good care of it in the time that I have it, and I recognize what I have control over and what I don't. And I'm realistic about what I can and can't do. I have a hard time reading, so I be realistic in how long it's going to take to read a chapter, or if I am going to read the chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, some things, I can scan, I can look at the summary, I can look at the keywords, and just be legitimate. I had a professor in a different program that mentioned, he didn't read any research. He never read research. He just read the abstract and the summary, and that's it. He didn't read all the papers, and he had a PhD. And I always thought about that, like, why are we putting so much on ourselves to do all this extra stuff just because it should be done, when let's just be realistic and take control and decide for ourselves. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to do this other part, and then I'm going to submit it and let it go.
Yeah, that's good. Letting it go. That's good. Yeah, Taylor.
Yes. So the question was about how do I handle academic pressure? Is that right?
Yes.
I'm a pretty laid back human being.
Mhm. And
If you
funny.
if you haven't noticed. Um, so I'm similar to Nikki. Like I'm not going to sit here and dwell on the fact that, you know, maybe I answered the question like they wanted me to, or maybe I
Mhm.
didn't. But I think one thing that's really helped me kind of get through some of the pressure points of like feeling inadequate or maybe being confused on a question, or like, holy cow, did I write enough when I wrote,
Yeah.
you know, 2 pages over what I was supposed to? Now I have to cut it back down, and, you know, concise work. I think that's a big thing, because I know sometimes I can be pretty wordy when it comes to my writing. So one thing I like to do under pressure is ask questions. That's a huge one. Um, Especially, that was something I didn't do in undergraduate school, which I would have,
Mhm. Me
if
too.
I could go back and do things differently. That's one thing I would do, is have a
Yes.
relationship with my professors,
Me too.
ask questions. And so I think that's been a big one for me, is just getting clarification when I need it. Um, Sometimes even sending in like, hey, this is what I wrote. Is that like, do I need to add anything? Do I need to take away? You know, does it make sense? Things like that. I've only done that a couple of times, but I'm usually pretty confident in what I turn in. But if there is a time when I'm like, you know, oh gosh, you know, is this right? Is this, you know, whatever. It's like Nikki said, you just got to send it in. You got to just get it off your chest. And I think that you're more competent than you think you are. I mean, you're in grad school, for goodness sake. So
Mhm.
there's, you know, it's funny. I read other people's things and I'm like, oh, wow, this person's like highly intelligent. You know, I hope I sound as smart as they sound. So
Mhm.
it kind of takes the pressure off of you just being yourself and allowing yourself to do that. I think early on in the program, I was more worried about every little detail, and now I'm like, you know what? I'm rocking it. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I'll join in. I'll join in saying that I've gotten straight A's just like y'all. So, Nikki, I hope by the end of it, I can say that as well. So,
Mhm.
um, but anyway, that's really all I have to say on that aspect of academic pressure. Ask questions and just be confident in what you're doing. So.
Yeah, I think that mine is similar to both of you guys as well. But I'm learning. I'm having to relearn, or because I was such a perfectionist that everything has to be done right. It has to be well detailed. I'm great at asking questions, probably asking too much questions just to double check and make sure that I'm doing it correctly. And actually, recently I had a assignment, and I mean, this assignment was a small assignment. It worth like 10 points. And all you had to do was watch the video, guys, and write a 1 page on the video. And I started this assignment, Taylor, you'll be proud of me. I started this assignment a week before this assignment was due. However, however, I'm watching this video and I could not make sense of it. I could not. I mean, like, I watched this video so many times, but I could not understand what this video is telling me to do or what I'm supposed to be writing.
Been
I'm
there,
being honest.
been there.
And so I mean, you would have thought that this is a 6-page paper. You would have thought that this is a huge assignment. And I actually ended up standing late. One, because I was just overthinking and over analyzing every single detail, other than, all right, take a breath, watch the video, continue to take notes, and just, Katrina, and you guys would have been laughing at me if you were in my home. I was like, Katrina, just write something. If it's wrong, the professor will tell you it's wrong, Katrina. A 1-page paper is giving you so much stress about writing 1-page paper. So I say that to say to people out there are, to freshmen or people are about to, have these assignments, don't overthink and overanalyze assignments either. Because so many times the academic pressure doesn't come from our professors, doesn't come from anyone other than us. And so what I had to learn and what I am learning by what you both are saying, I ask my question, right? And then two, I do my part, I write it. And if it's not, okay, well, I will learn from it. And the professor will help me again if I need to redo it, if I need to relearn it. But guess what? I'm gonna learn from it, right? And so I think it's so important. And my husband, he jokes at me all the time. He's like, babe, do you know you're in grad school? You're not doing your undergrads. I was like, I know that, but still. So I am learning to be that laid back guy like Taylor. I'm learning to be that let it go like a bird like Nikki. I am so much learning how to be graceful to myself. And the one thing that I said this semester I'm taking 6 credit hours instead of 9. Katrina, enjoy the process, enjoy learning, enjoy knowing, enjoy asking questions, enjoying the program. So that has really been my goal this semester. And that is my prayer for my whole journey. Is to enjoy the process, enjoy the moments, enjoy the learning, enjoy the reading, and enjoy it all instead of putting so much pressure on me, because any pressure that is coming is not coming from my professors, it's not coming from the program, it's coming from me.
Yeah, and we're gonna have this on. It's now recorded, so we'll play it back for you every day if we need to.
Oh man, I love it. Okay, we have 2 more questions. Please share your perspective with views and with ways of coping with graduate school. What are your views and some ways that you are coping with graduate school? I know you guys got this nailed down, so I'm looking to hear how you guys cope with graduate school, because I got to take some tips.
Very carefully.
Okay.
Ways in which I cope, I set aside time for not only myself but time with family, and outside of family, I like to be with friends as well. So getting outside in nature, whether it's golfing, fishing, hiking, things like that. So I think that the self-care is the most important. From everything that I've read and people that I've talked to in this profession, self-care is number one, and it should be. You know, you hear a lot about burnout and things of that nature, just people getting completely overwhelmed with what they're doing, and so I think self-care is probably, I would say that's number one for me. So, but other than that, I mean, when things are hard, taking a deep breath is helpful. It sounds easy, but sometimes, I can feel overwhelmed with work and family and, all the things that I have on my to-do list. Which, Katrina, I'm sure you're a list person.
I sure am. I sure am.
So, you get what I'm saying. But I think that those things are the most important, and that's how I cope with the stresses that are graduate school. So
That's awesome.
So I think, there has to be something to cope with, that it's not just the entirety of graduate school, but like what is specifically hard about graduate school and how do you cope with it, right? That's part of the answer to the question. With the stress, I already started working on it as soon as I hit the practicum and internship. What I did was I stopped taking full-time courses so I could pour more of my heart and soul into working on being a great counselor for my clients. Even though, you got to give yourself some grace because you're not going to be the best counselor in the world first off,
Yes.
so but I still wanted to have a little extra wiggle room to be able to research things, practice things outside of my client time, and just really try to be the best I could right off the bat. Anyway, that stress was handled by reducing my workload, not taking as many classes. But then, so being realistic is one way that I coped. Another thing that's hard with grad school is if you are taking less classes, especially, how long it's taking to graduate, and so I need to cope with that too. And coping with that, I've come to reframe it in my mind using reframing technique.
Yeah.
And we keep I've heard this before, it's some fallacy, I don't know which one, but we keep putting before us some goal, something that we think, okay, once I hit this, then I'll be happy.
Yes.
Once I get that job, I'll be happy.
Yes.
Once I get that promotion, I'll be happy. Once I retire, then I'll be happy. So I've always been kind of leery about, well, since I've heard that, and since I've put that in perspective, I've been kind of leery about telling myself, well, as soon as I graduate in May, May of next year, last year I said, or May of this year, I said all year this year. I know in the back of my mind, it's not gonna be perfect. So recognizing that's not gonna be the end all, and I'm not gonna be perfectly happy once I get that great job, or whatever. Just taking it in stride and recognizing the happiness I can have right now. And thinking in terms of like, someday I'm gonna look back and think, man, these were some pretty good years. I didn't even have a full-time job. I just kind of, took care of myself for most of the day, and those are some good times. And I want to make sure that while I'm in these good times, that I enjoy it, that I, savor it. And that's what I'm trying to do. So reframing and being realistic is how I really cope.
Oh my word. I feel like today, like out of all the podcasts that I have done, like I needed like all of this. I feel like because it is so good to hear. And for me, that a person that do make lists and do have, you know, all of these goals, aspirations and dreams. And I had one person, and I look at her as a mentor, and she said this to me. She said, Katrina, you're the type of person that you just keep setting goals and setting goals and setting goals. And when you accomplish them, but you still want something else, right? You still want more. And that is something that I am learning with and coping with, and be at peace where you're at, right? One. And two, as Nikki said, like for me, I did 9 credit hours last year. That's how I did my first master's. 9 credit hours, 9 credit hours, 9 credit hours to be finished, right? But now I look at it, I'm learning what I will prefer to learn the little things. That 6 credit hours, I feel like I could gain more, I could learn more, I could savor more, I could just be a sponge more to get more information in, rather than trying to cram all the information in at the same time and not enjoy it and savor it. And I think as a society that has goals, that has dreams, that has aspirations, it is awesome, it is great, it's something that we all should do. However, I think it comes into play that when we all have these goals, the aspirations, these things, right, of what's next, we keep chasing things. So we never get to sit in the moment and enjoy these moments. And I remember when I had a year off, after I graduate, after I was working full time as an assistant track coach, I had a year for just myself. And I remember my husband saying it because I was not happy in that year. I was like, I need to be doing something. I need to be doing something. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And I was keep complaining and complaining to my husband about what I need to be doing. And my husband looked at me, he said, babes, that year that you keep complaining about, this time that you have downtime, just you, that you have for yourself, and it's just downtime, you're going to look back and you're going to want it back and you can't. And really, that has been my way of learning how to cope with graduate school. Like this year in graduate school, I said to myself, I'm not going to put that much pressure on myself. I want to learn, and I want to learn well. I want to be a good counselor. How can I be a good counselor? For me, is taking my workload down in school, doing things that I know that I love to do, that I want to do, that will help me or propel me to be a good counselor, to be a good friend, to be a good wife, to be good, right? For myself and for others. But I had to come with the reality and have a self-check within myself. What are some ways I could cope in being better in graduate school? And it was like, Nikki, I had to scale back and say, okay, my workload right now, those 9 credit hours, is too much for me. I'm going to go with 6 so I can learn and learn well to be a good counselor. I have a graduate assistant position where I'm learning and helping me as well to navigate in maybe another area that I would like to go into. So it was all about, and I love that everyone has such different perspective and self-care as well as imparted. For me, it may be going and doing something, getting outdoors, being that outdoors person that Taylor said. But I think for graduate school, we put so much pressure on ourselves to graduate. We put so much pressure on ourselves to get it done. And all of those things are great. But at the same time, it's how we are enjoying those moments, those moments that we will never be able to get again. Well, I feel like this is going to be our best podcast. That's what I think. All right. And we have done some amazing ones, but I think we've been doing good. Our last question of the night: what inspired you to stick with graduate school?
Mine is probably my day-to-day, seeing kids in the classroom and outside of the classroom at school, and watching their parents interact with them and their friends and people outside of the school coming in and interacting with kids. I think my kids have been my inspiration. And initially getting into the program, I wasn't interested in school counseling. But I think now more than ever that the school counselor is going to be one of the most influential person in these kids' lives, that come to school, and you may be the only person that they see that day that smiles at them. And so I think that's been my biggest push to finish and make a difference in somebody's life, just because seeing what some of these kids go through and the lives that they didn't choose who their parents were, and so I think just the thought of being able to walk with them, beside them, through the hardships that they're going through, and just loving them where they're at, I think that's my fuel. So
Awesome. They're going to be so lucky to have you.
Yeah, I agree. I likewise, for me, it's the clients, the people that you're doing this for. I had opportunities especially one big opportunity to quit grad school and get all my debt erased because I was so severely disabled. And I just wanted to continue with the program. I wanted to use what I've got to help. And I've been told by my clients that I am helping. And I see the progress that they're making, and I can't let go of that. I can't stop doing that and give up and just exist. No, I love giving back. I love feeling like I can help people.
You know, after all of this is one of the great things that I recognize about counselors and about the line of work that we will be able to do, that we are helpers, you know, and for me, changing careers and getting into something new, I always tell people, I share this story with people, whereas I have been so very blessed to have very good women of God around me and very strong women of God around me and very encouraging women around me. And for me, I always look at it as when I was going through difficult times and hard times or uncertainties or doubting myself, those women were there to pray for me, encourage me, lift me up, you know, just be there for me. And I look at counseling for me, and my hopes and my prayers is that I get to be that for someone, because we live in a society sometimes that can be hard, that is hard. And when I say it's hard, I mean sometimes the negative can outweigh the positive if you allow it to. And for me is that how many young girls or women out there don't have a support system like I do. And so for me, I look at it as, if I didn't have, I gotta use them to be my support system and help me to navigate when life was very hard, and where would I be at in life? I could tell you I wouldn't be here. And so for me, I look at counseling and being a counselor, and that is what is keeping me going, is that one day I will be able to impact and inspire or encourage or love on people the way my circle of great women, my mom, my US mom, I mean, like, so much great people and women around me that today are young women, are young people in general. So don't let me categorize it. But so many young people today don't have good support systems in reality. And like Taylor, he wants to be, he wants to get into the school counseling. That is his push. That is his motivation. And Taylor wants to get into it to encourage and to help people and remind people that even with a disability, I look at her as like, you could do it, and encourage them that they matter as well. And so I look at the counseling program as, for me, is that it's not about money. It's not about, I get to get this title or you get to say this, but for me, it's getting to make a difference in someone else's life, how someone made a difference in my life. And I just pray, and as we continue, as Taylor and I continue, as Nikki move on, we know that she will do great things, and we just hope that inspires whoever is listening out there that is in graduate school. Keep going. Work at your own pace, believe in yourself, even when doubts come. But remember, you are a helper, and your life, your testimony, your stories, your life journey is gonna help so many people out there that right now it may not look like, oh man, like this is so hard or I can't do it. But there's someone out there that needs you. Anything else that you guys want to end with or finish as we wrap it up?
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for everything you've said.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that was amazing. Y'all are both inspiring women, and I'm hopeful for the future in the ENMU counseling program.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're at 3 different levels, 3 different stages within this process, and I mean, we're gonna have stories to tell, and we're gonna have clients in the future that, you know, because of what we've learned, what we've been through, and the network that we build with each other, I just don't think that there's going to be anybody that we can't help. So,
Well, tonight was one of my favorites. I love getting to do this podcast with this wonderful group. I mean, tonight I felt was for me as well. It was such a great encouragement, and I thank you guys for joining us. And before we wrap it up, I would just like to conclude our podcast tonight and say thank you for listening to Counselor U, sponsored by the incredible New Mexico Expanding Opportunity Project. And we will chat with you guys next time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.